Definitely. He's a guy that'll be everywhere. I think as a general kind of his mindset, I think, he considers himself a little bit more of a naturally offensive player. But again, as we talked about a little earlier, he's just too gifted to not be everywhere. Obviously, including in special teams as a returner, as a cover guy, and the defense is still trying to fight for him. He's not going to be in fall camp, and his availability after that remains to be seen. But just how things played out, we added a different guy at that position through fall camp. Expect to be back for spring. We don't put those kind of timetables on things.
What kind of pressure do you expect that to have on
What kind of pressure? Well, it'll be just dispersed through the rest of the guys of guys that you kind of go into fall camp of they're going to be X% receiver and Y% tailback. You just kind of fiddle with those percentages a little bit, and we have a number of guys in that boat. Obviously, Byron Marshall's the natural guy that everybody would think about, 1,000-yard rusher, 1,000-yard receiver, then you've got a few other guys that have played that kind of all-purpose back role, and we'll just experiment like heck in fall camp, just as we would have before. The Oregon way, things like that, whether it's officials or weather or injuries or whatever, it's us, and everybody's in it for us. And there's a ton of guys that have put in a ton of time that as soon as you kind of elevate the absence of someone over the contribution of somebody to come, that's definitely not our way. But we certainly want to do things right. We want to be tough. We want to be smart. We want to be disciplined on and off the field, and we believe very much in what we're doing. We have a ton of trust in our program from the coaches on down. Absolutely, yeah. We are constantly tweaking. Did you go deer hunting this morning, by the way? It's the only excuse for that kind of look, but we're constantly tweaking. I think that's part of it too. Is we have great people. We believe very much in our process, and then our process is always kind of in an evolutionary state of why do we do something? Why is this guy going to fit that role? How do we make this work with the next kind of wave of whoever? Why do we lift the way we do? Why do we eat the way we do? All the things we're constantly churning up the best, and that's we want to support our guys in the best way we possibly can. Picking quarterback, I think is it has to happen. You can't say, in my opinion, you can't say by August 29th or pick a date. We're going to name a guy, because that might not happen. That has to play out. It's kind of like leadership. You can't just say, okay, Ronnie, Johnny, and Danny, you guys are the captains. That doesn't work. So that plays itself out. I think ideally, absolutely in an ideal world, which sometimes we live in one, sometimes we don't, 5 to 6 days before the opener, but been in situations where that wasn't the case, and it plays out and it works out fine.
Coach, what are you looking for most in a quarterback?
Scoring. We want to score the football, take care of the football, and score it, and that's really it.
Byron Cole, getting going down to the comments from here. Does Byron go back and play more running back? Do you know that
it'll play itself out? Yeah, but just between all those guys of the kind of young skill that we have that are, again, kind of those hybrid guys. We already had in place a bunch of plans for Byron, a bunch of plans, in our world for all those new-ish guys, whether it's I'm going to miss somebody, but Kirk or Jalen or Alex or Charles, certainly, all those guys that have done that before, Taj, Ty, there's a bunch of moving parts, and those percentages kind of just work out of where, who plays at what spot. Yeah, he's fine. All full go. At this phase right now, well, there's a ton of things. You're teaching guys how to practice. You're teaching guys how, just how we do things. Our older players always do a great job, and our veteran players, maybe not that old, do a great job of educating our guys on scheme, on how we do things. But you're still not out there full speed in practice, but just how we operate. And then you're in installation mode. You're in experimentation mode a little bit of trying to find out whether it's we've got a bunch of young offensive linemen. How physical are they? How smart are they? How tough are they? All those things that you're trying to filter out, and simultaneously educate, drill, filter out maybe who's going to in down the road gonna contribute this year, who's gonna redshirt. There's a million things that are going on right now, but I think the biggest thing in establishing, certainly with the young guys, is how we do things, and then the roles kind of come out of that once you get through the install phase, and that is a couple weeks away. I do have clarification on that, and this is another thing. This will be the last time we discuss, but I can't remember. There were a couple guys there. Andrew was there. He can validate my outlandish statement that I made, which my first thing that I said is we don't condone any behavior of that nature, period, was the first thing I said. This gets validated. Correct, Andrew? Correct. Okay. And then we were talking about just the equity of the penalties and how equitable that was across the country when it had been announced that a couple guys get 1-game suspensions. Certainly there's other guys get nothing, and he got a 6-game suspension, and we kind of bantered back and forth about that a little bit, and then I didn't bombastically say anything. I said essentially, yeah, I was even told that we were the only team tested. I said I don't know that to be a fact, and I still don't know that to be a fact, and I was told that. That doesn't change anything. It's not an excuse in any way, shape, or form. It's certainly something that is being looked at and should be looked at. We'll see. Today's kind of it's an unfair situation for you guys and for me, because literally the only thing we do this morning is a walkthrough. We meet, we talk, and do all that stuff. He looks fantastic in his uniform. He looked great in his practice jersey, and he looks like a fast guy. But he's such a tough dude, and I have no doubts that he's going to do everything he can. He has done everything he can over the summer to put himself in a situation to be back out there. That's one of those things, that kind of plays out again. Ideally, the hardest part with that is you see guys for maybe 2 weeks, and when we want them to make a ton of mistakes, we want them to make a million mistakes. We try to make different mistakes, but we try to then we try to pull out our crystal ball and go, okay, in 6 weeks, what's this guy going to look like? In 7, 8, 9 weeks down the road, the natural wear and tear of the season, you need some guys to step in, and the worst thing that you can do is have that uncertainty. We try to be very definitive in fall camp of going, we're playing this guy, period, and then playing him substantially. Getting down to week 8, week 9 and going, oh crap, we need, this spot or that spot or whatever. That's just unfair for everybody. So we try to do that as best as possible up front. There's a ton of very talented guys where that is, whether that's offense or defense or special teams, is a place where they can have some instant impact. We'll see.